Hi guys, just been introduced there, it's Steve Rigby. I run a company called Devere Group, and we've recently opened up offices here in Mumbai and down in India. I've been doing wealth management now for over 20 years, and I'm based out of Abu Dhabi. And what we've been doing is it's quite interesting listening to all the panelists today, because some of the challenges that you all seem to be facing now, we were facing probably 10 years ago when the industry changed in the UK, and then that was then mirrored throughout the rest of the world as far as us and our company. So we've got offices in 70 different countries, and we are potentially the world's largest independent financial company. So what these guys were all saying before about having set plans for holistic financial planning and getting wealth management tools that fit in, that's exactly what we've done over the last few years. So I think you'll all still be earning a very good living. I think you'll just have to adapt to the way that they want you to do it through the regulation. As I said before, I've been asked to cover a few different topics, but actually my stomach's rumbling that badly. I'm going to do them very, very quickly, and then if you want to ask me further later, you can do. So our model itself, we based the way that we taught financial planning, we didn't base it around sales, okay? You can look around the room, and in order to be able to be really, really successful in this industry, you've got to be passionate about it. You know, they were talking about trust before. Trust will come from you believing in what you do and the client then believing in you, offering them what they need. There's too many people in our industry have gone throughout time selling plans so that they can make money. That's not what it's all about. Financial planning is about, as a doctor would look at a patient and work out what the prognosis is to make that patient well, that's exactly the same with financial planning. So when you're sitting with people and you're looking at education plans, or you're looking at retirement plans, or you're looking at marriage funds, you've got to come up with a realistic goal that needs to be achieved and then find a suitable product that will get there. It's far better to walk away from a client and say, actually, I haven't got anything that will help you, rather than what I've seen throughout my time in the industry, somebody selling them something they don't need. So our whole model has been based on getting people to work for us with an enthusiasm for what they're doing, a love of what they do. I was originally a client. I was in the Air Force for many years doing pensions for the Royal Air Force. When I came out, I became a client of Devere. Well, it was called PIC at the time, but then Devere subsequently bought them, because I was working in a place where I didn't have options to save. When the people were coming to sell me the plan, I could see them forcing something on me that wasn't appropriate. So, kind of like the guy that bought the Remington Steel razor blades. I liked the company that much, I moved into it. I decided I was going to set up, so it started with 2 of us, and there's now over 200 in Abu Dhabi, set up a company that would go out and would offer honest, truthful financial planning. I've got all the plans myself. As the industry changed, so did I. I started to change the way I spoke with people, looking for the right products and the right solutions. When we're training people, we train them more for the empathy aspect rather than the sales aspect, because, you know, one of the ladies before was asking about, you know, how would somebody divulge information to you? Well, it's the same way that you would divulge information to a doctor. If you've got a problem and you need it solving, you have to tell people what you've got. And that's what the client needs to do with you, but they will only do it, again, going back to the same word, if you get the right trust. So the way that we try and emphasize it with the client when we sit there is to make it a fun meeting. So we try and, has anybody read the book, Story Selling for Financial Advisors? It's if you're in wealth management, it's a book you can buy. I'm sure it's definitely on Amazon, but it's basically talking about stories. So just to give you one example and then we can move on, but I talk about my daughter, okay? So the inference of the story selling is to think of a situation that will relate in pictures to the people. As one of the panelists said before, many people don't understand financial jargon, okay? I'm from a place in UK called Wigan, which is also a very slow part of the world. So I speak slowly and I keep things to less than 2 syllables if I'm talking to somebody. I want them to understand it. So when I'm talking about education planning, as an example, I use my daughter. So my daughter is a little girl called Rebecca. She's 10 years old. She's got blonde, curly hair. She's very petite, blue eyes, and she just loves life. She goes to all the clubs. She likes gymnastics, horse riding, golf. Academically, she's not a complete brainchild, but she's a trier. She's going to school. She's trying to get the good grades. So me, as a caring father, want her to do exceptionally well. So we're pushing her to do the best she can. Now, if we fast forward that 15 years to when she finishes school, or actually a lot less than that now, 6 years to when she goes to high school, 8 years by the time she gets to university, imagine her face when she comes running home to me and her mum and says, Dad, I've done it. She's still going to be that little girl. She'll be a bit taller. She'll still have the blonde hair and the blue eyes. Beaming smile on her face as she comes in and says, I've got straight A's. But then imagine the look on her face when I turn around and say, we didn't think you were going to do it, so I didn't plan for it. You can't go to university. That's the type of thing that we try. So it's, you know, the old story about the white elephant. Everybody now is probably picturing my daughter crying because she can't go to university. That's the bit that you will never get from technology. You'll never get that understanding when you're putting it to a client to make sure that the client sorts themselves out. The model that we've got here isn't a competition model for you guys because, again, because of regulation and me being a foreign entity, I can't do all the types of things that you guys do. What I can do, though, is we're looking after pension planning for people that have worked in the UK and moved back to India. But throughout the rest of the world, we do exactly what you do here. And we've built up a brand that we believe is a good one based on a lot of the things that these guys were all talking about. So we don't go around trying to second guess what the markets are doing. We put everybody into fund of funds and a nice spread depending on what their asset risk is or the appetite for risk. What do I think that one of the last things that they wanted me to talk about was the scope of wealth management in India. I can tell you, working with a whole bunch of Indian advisors in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and knowing a lot of people here, I've been coming since 2003, I think it's absolutely massive. I think that, you know, some of the guesses for where the markets are going to go over the next few years, I think are quite understated, really. I think it will grow a lot bigger and there's a lot more opportunity around there than anybody gives it credit for. I think by far it will be a greater place to be doing business than China. I think it will overtake a lot of the already developed markets. And I think that you'll also learn from the mistakes that a lot of the other markets have already made. You know, the things that we've done in Europe recently have caused huge problems. But I think for you guys, I think you've watched it, you've looked, you've seen what's gone on, and I think if you embrace the model and really give it everything you've got, I think you'll all have a really good opportunity and a great career in financial services.